Today, have you smelled your Xbox controller recently? You may be surprised at what you find. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. Graham and Kathleen are on assignment in Spain. Joining us this week is Beej.
What the hell are you doing here?
I host the show. You're filling in.
No, Am I in an alternate timeline?
Oh, we can test this. Whose 30th anniversary is it?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
What the hell is a Sonic Hedgehog?
Oh, suddenly I don't want to go back. Parents in Japan are turning to Pikmin as a means to control their children. Now, before I continue, let's take a minute to enjoy all of the lovely imagery this conjures up. For example, I initially thought parents were holding copies of Pikmin 4 hostage from their children until they improve their behavior, which is not the case. That only works sporadically, and kids never remember any promises they make under the duress of not getting the thing they want now. Then I thought parents were implanting tiny plant animals into their kids' brains in order to compel them to behave. Japan has done some interesting things with plant-humanoid hybrids in the past, so I figured this one was at least more possible than just bribing your kids to behave. But then I read the article and realized what's even more fun than exposing your children to dangerous mind control spores in hopes of creating a super race of people who can live on this blighted earth after the climate apocalypse is playing pretend! Kids love Pikmin, and they want to be them when they grow up. So parents tap into that by telling them they're playing real-life Pikmin, and that mommy is the one they follow around. Whenever mommy blows the whistle, which in this case is imaginary, the kids are to form up around her. And if mommy has found a treasure, which in this case is a 24-pack of toilet paper on sale for 900 yen, the Pikmin can carry it back to the onion. And it works on kids from ages 4 to 12, so give it a try. Maybe they can also beat up the weird snake crow that's been sleeping next to that giant bottle cap in your yard. Listen, I was a child once, still am in many ways, so I sympathize with parents. Kids are hard to raise. They're always eating food and taking baths and walking around the kitchen, getting in your way while you're trying to cook a meal, or at least put 4 semi-pickled eggs on a plate topped with green sauce, which you can fool yourself into thinking is a proper meal, but is really just all you have left in the tank to prepare tonight. Also, I may be thinking of cats and not kids, but the point's the same. They're always underfoot and constantly shedding. But if you can invest in a whistle and some simple instructions, then you can command your brood with the same authority as Captain Olimar. Or Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop.
Start your engines, race fans, because it's time once again to join all of your friends down at the track. And because we live in an age of corporate multi-property mega franchise multiverses, your friends for this lap will be those of the DreamWorks Animation stable of characters. Joining the titular Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon's Hiccup are Boss Baby, Megamind, and the bad guys' Mr. Wolf, not to be confused with Puss in Boots' Wolf, who is only available as part of the digital deluxe version. All in all, developer Game Mill promises 20 characters to choose from to mix and match across a variety of DreamWorks movie-inspired tracks that should produce a cacophony of crossover character quips to either confuse or delight, depending on which side of the grade 10 split you were on when Shrek somebodied into the scene in 2001. This game looks to be your typical kart racer, which is expected, as DreamWorks has already produced 3 previous Shrekful kart games. The gimmick this time is that, much like Our World, this game takes place in a world where the events of the Trolls movies took place, so character karts will be infested with DreamWorks Animation's trolls, equipped with power-ups and whatever the developers are calling special surprises. What isn't surprising, though, is the update in kart design. Movie characters are immutable. They exist crystallized within their development arcs inside of the movies they usually inhabit, unable to grow emotionally, learn, or experiment with facial hair. What they can do, though, is what any other mid-career person stuck in a rut does in North America. They can buy a new car to express their unique personality. Previous series entries, like the mobile game Shrek Kart, had characters in generic boxy carts made of themed materials, Shrek's being made out of bogwood, while the gingerbread man drives some sort of Pop-Tart, giving the game a can-do DIY attitude. Shrek Smash and Crash had characters riding local fauna, with Shrek on some sort of a swamp beast and Puss on a bull, implying a return to nature. Donkey rode his dragon wife. This time, Shrek drives some sort of dugout canoe with a moss-covered internal combustion engine mounted on the hood, like a Memento Mori to the conventional style cars of Mr. Wolf and Megamind. Fiona's Onion-mobile makes real the metaphor of her many-layered personality. Most curiously, though, Hiccup's car seems to have faithfully recreated the body of his dragon friend Toothless, indicating their strong bond, much like Ascendant Wife Guy Donkey has also opted to motor around in his amour. Could this be a sign from DreamWorks to be on the lookout in future movies for a deeper relationship between man, beast, and dragon? Time will tell.
Big news, the ESRB thinks you look cute, bae. Want to share a selfie with them? Don't worry, they just want to know if you're under 25, that's all. Why? Well, you've got your eye on that mature-rated game, and if you want to buy it, you're going to need to undergo a facial recognition scan first. You see, the ESRB has issued a proposal to the USA's Federal Trade Commission that they're calling the Privacy Protective Facial Age Estimation, or NAMBLA, in collaboration with a UK digital identity firm called Yoti and an Epic Games software subsidiary called Super Awesome. To see if you are old enough to play Yakuza, their system takes a photo of your face, then it detects if it's a live human face, then it uploads your image to their backend for analysis. What happens to those images? Yoti says they're immediately deleted, and the ESRB says, quote, any images and data used for this process are never stored, used for AI training, used for marketing, or shared with anyone. Also, I've never heard of Yoti or Super Awesome before, but I have heard of the ESRB, the lobbying group that gives the video game industry cover by saying they can self-police their activities. So I would imagine it's clearly in the video game industry's interests to try to get this authorized so they can look responsible by not selling mature-rated games to children. Let's not jump to conclusions and assume something big has happened regarding this self-policing that we haven't heard about yet. Instead, let's ask the obvious question. If I was a parent, would I want my kid's photo to be uploaded to a random server somewhere, regardless of whether that server is influenced by a subsidiary of the company who makes Fortnite? Well, of course I wouldn't, which is why the ESRB said that its proposal to the FTC was not, quote, to authorize the use of this technology with children, and that it is, quote, to confirm if the person who is verifying consent is 25 years or older, which should, quote, prevent teenagers or older-looking children from pretending to be a parent. Excellent. Let me see if I'm following along. If I'm 44 years old and I try to buy Yakuza for the iPhone, I first let Yoti scan my face, and after they've marveled at how I don't look a day over 25 on the remote server, I can buy it. But if my imaginary kid looks at my phone, Yoti scans their face and... what? Fucking blows up? The ESRB just said that all of the facial age analysis is done on a remote server, but that the technology is not authorized for use with children. How does Yoti tell that my child is a child without taking their picture and uploading it to the fucking web for their algorithm to slurp? I don't mean to be difficult, but no, actually I do. Nobody wants this except the people selling the tech and the people they're selling it to as a magic bullet to fix their problems. You still look cute, though.
Microsoft is coming out of its shell with a new product tie-in promoting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie. Fans can enter to win one of 4 Xbox wireless controllers custom painted in the style of each of the 4 Ninja Turtles. Not, to be clear, painted in the style of the classical painter namesakes, that would be fantastic, but in the red, blue, orange, or purple schemes of Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello, respectively. What sets these controllers apart from more conventional cross-marketing, though, is the pizza-shaped scent diffuser built into the back of the controller, preloaded with the scent of New York za. Now, It's no surprise that I'm a gaming fan who likes to game with all 5 of my senses. The flash of Link's blade as they vanquish an Octorok, the crack and ricochet of gunfire from across a field giving away enemy positions, the HD rumble feel of tiny balls falling inside a box, and the bitter taste of 1-2 switch when I physically put it into my mouth. But smell is a whole new frontier in gameplay. The default pizza smell is spot on for immersing me in the world of martial arts mutants, but can we go further? Assuming that the pizza diffuser is refillable, and that we can all get over the cognitive dissonance of something that looks like a pizza smelling like something else entirely, imagine the possibilities. Load it up with some gyoza oil and nicotine vape juice, and you too could be wafting through the Japanese streets of Kamurocho in Like a Dragon. A subtle mixture of barbecue and sulfur will make you feel right at home in the world of Diablo 4. And a 50-50 mix of Skittles and Febreze should be a solid analog of whatever Puzzle Bobble smells like. My only concern is that in this age of automation and consolidation, there is the possibility of cross-contamination of the flavor profile. There are only a small number of producers of industrial flavorants that we've potentially become one overtired delivery person away from a world with Crunchberry-flavored Xbox controllers, a Best Buy Nintendo section that smells like a pizzeria, and Captain Crunch, oops, all Switch cart.
Do you think Master Splinter ever tried to serve okonomiyaki to the turtles and just call it Japanese pizza?
I mean, if they did, do you think the turtles started asking for pizzas from other nations?
Do you think they ever asked for Italian pizza?
How would you even get that delivered from Italy?
Turtle Blimp. Coming up, patch notes for Caves of Qud, version 204.95. They fixed a bug that had made it impossible to look at fungal infections, meaning it's now easier to see a doctor in the caves than it is here in Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Great, thank you.
I mean, you've been here before, but yeah.
It's been a while.
Been a long time, yeah. That was fun though. I love all of the alliterative stuff you were doing.
It was fun to write, fun to do, and I'm happy to be back for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, very very punctuated. You have the day off, then clearly.
Yes.
Nice.
No, as I told Paul, I just took it off as vacation just to make sure that we have the time necessary to make this work.
All right. Well, I hope we can make it work next week as well. That worked out pretty good.
And I get double paid.
So, funny thing about the ESRB story, the facial recognition thing, because I was like, let's try to do this with as little. I want to do like some research because it's more about reacting to the story than it is reacting to like the deep dive. Because I'm like, surely anybody who's making a proposal to the FTC, everything they're going to write is going to be very, I don't want to say hagiographic because that's not quite the right word, but it's going to be very positive. And I'm like, everything I'm going to read means that then I have to think longer about why it's not that positive.
They're a lobbying group.
Yes, exactly, right? So, but what I did after I wrote most of the story, what I did discover, not what I already knew the fact that facial recognition sucks if you're not white, and also that it's been used to persecute a lot of people. But moving beyond that, according to their proposal, Yoti is a company that does digital identity. They're based in the UK, which is very much about filming you everywhere you go. And they use their facial recognition technology on things like lottery machines and stuff like that. So it's like if you're you go into a bar and there's a VLT there, it's like, oh, you can't play this because you're underage. Where you used to just be able to chase people out of the pub. You know, if you see somebody, like you see a kid coming in to play a game or whatever, it's like, oh, you get out of here, right? Yeah. Like that kind of thing.
Or you just said to them, hey, show me your ID.
Yeah. No, you can't be in here playing these things, F off, right? So that's what you did. You had human intervention and you had to do that kind of thing. And then super awesome is they started they're also UK based. I'm like, well, this is a partnership made in heaven. Their thing is they've been involved in making kids entertainment, like video game style, like interactive entertainment, hedutainment, if you want to call it that kind of thing, right? So it's like, and then they got acquired a few years ago, and it was really just a few years ago, by Epic. So they're like, they're not just like a piece of Epic that's always been around. It's like they got acquired, I think, like maybe under 10 years ago or something like that, if I remember. Which I thought was really interesting because it means that these two groups are the ones that are trying to work together to really push this idea. And somehow they convince the ESRB that it's like, hey, we should do this. And I'm like, I'm sure this is being used a lot in the UK for things like VLTs and whatever. But I'm like, it's a little weird because it's like somehow I'm a little more comfortable with it being like at a VLT, which is already like this is an adult's machine, than I am with it being like this will be on your phone everywhere you go and be scanning faces and doing shit. And it's like, right, kids are already not supposed to be in a bar, but kids will have your phone trying to play it, or they'll have the gaming consoles or whatever. So I don't know. Like I'm sure they're solving the niche problems they're solving are maybe okay. I'm still not comfortable with it, but taking it this far sounds like it sucks.
Honestly, I'm amazed we're living in a world right now where Epic is more draconian than the United States Transport Security Administration. At least at airports, you can still refuse to have a facial scan and get through.
Yeah, right? I'm sure the thing will be like, they'll maybe hedge this by being like, oh, don't worry, if you don't want to scan your face in order to buy a game, we'll just give you another way to do it. And like, then what was the point of scanning my face to buy a game? Right?
I mean, that's the wonderful thing, is that if the option is to buy it on Epic, you can at least buy it on Steam.
Right, exactly, yeah, because hopefully it won't just be like everywhere. But I mean, like, I'm comfortable with facial recognition to some extent, but that's because I'm 98% certain. Like, we know how Face ID works because they've told us. And so we have to be like, okay, we have to assume that is exactly how it works, that none of my face gets uploaded to the cloud. It's because everyone seems to think that's what happens with Apple's Face ID, right? And it's like, but the way they've explained it, and nobody else has come forward to say that's not how it works. They actually take your face and they put it in a database. It's like, no, they scan your face, they calculate some stuff, and they store that in a chip on your device.
Store a hash on your secure enclave.
Exactly, right? And it's like, it's only on your device. I'm like, I like that, and that feels very secure, and we haven't had a problem yet, so we have to assume that they've been telling us the truth the whole time, and Apple doesn't want to have troubles. And I'm like, the ESRB is just coming straight out and saying, we're going to have to scan your face so you can buy a video game. And then the whole of, don't worry though, we won't scan your kid's face. I'm like, you're gonna have to if my kid tries to buy a game. Like, what the hell are you talking about? So I don't get it. I don't see how it's gonna work.
I don't think it's going to work at all.
Yeah.
But it sure as heck makes a nice press release.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like they're trying to do something.
And you could be wafting through the Japanese streets of Kamurocho like a dragon. I'm going to take that again.
Sure, yeah. That was funny, though.
I should have said, like Mr. Like a Dragon.
You're here this week because Graham and Kathleen are in Barcelona.
Correct.
Yeah, it's MagicCon weekend there, so if you are in Europe and you're watching this and you're like, oh god, I need to get over and see them, you got Ryanair.
That's an ominous tone.
You got Ryanair and you got all those trains.
Ooh, yeah. No.
Yeah, Europe's got great trains. So get to Barcelona and pay to get into MagicCon and maybe go see them and, say hi and give them a crack-a-pack or something. I don't know. Do what it is that you like to do. I've only been to one MagicCon. I don't really know what the etiquette is.
I hope they're respecting the siesta.
Yeah, absolutely. It's real freaking hot over there, is my understanding. So I would probably do the same thing.
This aircon.
Yeah, it's nice. They fixed a bug that had made it impossible to look at ungle infections. Ungle infections. Damn it.